she puts her hand up. So there's a counter, an island in between her and the cops. At this point, the pot is back on the counter. She puts her hands up, and the cops have their weapon saying, "I will shoot you in your face," because she just had the pot of water rebuking them, which can all be considered acts of aggression. And that pot of
kill over a bitch, but let a rat keep his wife.
So I just want to start off saying, hold on, because I see a little glare. Listen, lady. What this lady finna say is gonna really like make y'all mad. I ain't gonna lie to you. She couldn't have seen the same thing we seen. Y'all make sure to hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button right now. Go follow my Instagram. Look, I'm just trying to beat the odds and you can help me. You. Why wouldn't you want to help me? Let's get into this video.
So this video may ruffle some feathers. I don't care. I think that it needs to be discussed. And so Sonya Massey was a black woman who was shot and killed in her home by police. She actually called the police herself because she thought that there was an intruder outside of her home. So there's body camera footage, at least from the one officer. One officer did not turn his body camera on until after. The one officer did have his body camera on the whole time. So yes, there are some issues with that, but that really doesn't have any bearing on how this played out. So she called them. They came, they searched, they couldn't find anybody or locate anybody, and they were actually getting ready to go when they saw a vehicle parked in her driveway. I'm not sure all of the details surrounding that. Ultimately, I know they began to ask her about it, and they actually entered her home at that point and asked her for some identification. Again, I don't really know all of the specifics behind that, but it was still a very light conversation. She was responding to them, talking to them. They were talking and having a normal conversation. There was no indication of what was about to unfold. So the body camera footage, I mean, it's not all direct. This is coming in bits and pieces, but eventually it gets to the point where you see her standing up and there's a pot of boiling water on her stove. So I'm sure you guys have seen the videos. I don't have a video to link into this right now. I may try to, but so the cop tells her to go shut the boiling water off because he doesn't want a fire to happen. To which she replies, "Okay." So she goes over there and she shuts the stove off. At this point, she picks up the pot of boiling water, and she begins to walk with it towards the cops. And the cop asks her, "What are you doing?" Still in a lighthearted manner. And at this point, she's still walking in their direction, and you can see the cop on the body camera turn. He takes his front side away from her, and she's like, why are you turning? And he's like, "Because I don't want hot water to the face." And at that point, she says, "I rebuke you." You can't really hear it too well, but that's what the transcripts say in news articles. And so he's like, "Huh?" And at that point, she says, "I rebuke you in the name of Jesus." He said, "You better fucking not." And at that point, they draw their guns. At that point, she puts her hand up. So there's a counter, an island in between her and the cops. At this point, the pot is back on the counter. She puts her hands up, and the cops have their weapon saying, "I will shoot you in your face," because she just had the pot of water rebuking them, which can all be considered acts of aggression. And that pot of boiling water can be considered a weapon. So a pot of water, boiling hot water, can be considered a weapon that can cause very serious and permanent damage to somebody and could potentially result in death if they get second or third degree burns and those turn septic and cause an infection. So first, that is the first weapon that she had in her hands. Like I said, she was walking towards the cops. There was absolutely no reason that she needed to take this pot of boiling water and walk with it off the stove. She could have just pushed it onto a different burner. She could have just set it on the counter and left it there, set it in the sink. She did not need to walk in the direction of the cops. So that is considered the weapon. She told them, "I rebuke you in the name of Jesus," while coming with them with this boiling hot pot of water. Okay, that could be considered an act of aggression, which is why the cops drew their weapons. At this point, no shots have been fired. So She then has a weapon drawn and he says, I will shoot you in your fucking face, okay? So at this point, she is visibly scared. She sets down the pot of water and she puts her hands up. She still has oven mitts on. At this point, and this is the key crucial point, you guys, she then ducks. She ducks down below the counter to where you can no longer see her. On the body camera, you can no longer see her or her hands, okay? That is a huge no-no with the cops, especially when they have their guns drawn. You do not take your hands out of sight. They need to make sure that you do not have a weapon in your hands. So right there, when she ducked down and they could no longer see her hands and no longer determine that she was not a threat and did not have a weapon, they had every right to exercise deadly force how they did. If she would have just froze and she would have just stayed still, she probably would be alive today. And if she wasn't, then that is when cold-blooded murder occurs. But right now, the facts of the case are still coming in, and this is going to go to trial. But people are so quick to get their emotions in this type of case, and I get it. It's an unfortunate event that really did not need to happen. There were errors on both sides. The cops never should have had her go shut the stove off. They could have just done that themselves. There was 2 of them. Yes. But that's not what happened. They were just unable to tell if she was actually a threat to them or not. And unfortunately, she lost her life in the process. They immediately called for aid. They immediately said that shots were fired. Yes, he told them not to perform life-saving measures. Her face was kind of missing at that point. So I don't know all the details surrounding that, but the moments leading up to the shooting and the actual shooting may actually be considered justified. So they are.
There's no way that lady Sonya Massey was a threat. They told her she could get the boiling water off the stove. He actually said it. She wasn't thinking about it. When she said she rebuked him and you saying she was coming towards him, she didn't do nothing. She only turned. So if this the stove, to talk to somebody, you had to turn. He was on the other side. She turned. She didn't walk towards him. And when she said, I rebuke you, it's because she's seen something. People who use these spiritual, they see something in people that the next person wouldn't even see. She felt it. She seen it. You talking about a lady who went down in fear. She put her hands up. She went down. So even if what's she gonna do with the boiling water from the ground? She went down because she was scared. It wasn't no reason to shoot her or to talk to her the way he did. He said he'd shoot her in the fucking face. Understand that. And then you say they didn't have a clear view of her hands. We didn't have a clear view of her hands. They do. They taller than the counter. They body cam right here. So what we seen and what they seen, 2 different things. He had a clear view of her, lady. What are you looking at? You had a guy who was right here by the opening of where you walk in the kitchen. You get a clear view of her. Then you got the other officer that's on the other side of the counter, which on the other side of dude. They're taller than the counter. Now, he may not have seen, but I'm pretty sure he did. They wasn't far from her. They on the other side of the counter. They enough where she not about to throw the water. She didn't take steps towards him. She turned. You know, when you looking at somebody, when you talking, she turned. Walked towards him. If she was going to throw the water on him, she would have been in the motion to throw the water on him. Like, come on now. What they had in hand on their guns for? You mean to tell me you couldn't tase her? You mean to tell me you couldn't shoot her in the leg? You had to shoot her in the face? Lady, just tell me your whole family is police. That's all you gotta say. And you're gonna back them 1000% no matter what. Just say that. Just say that. Because you wrong. You should have kept this to yourself. Really. Y'all leave a comment, let me know what y'all think. Man, I ain't even know I felt this way about this like this. Hey, hit the like button. Y'all make sure y'all hit the like button. Run this up. And hit the subscribe button. Go follow my Instagram. Ashes everywhere. It's in the description.